Welcome. This is the first video I'm attempting. This is a Silvertone model 6011. It's from 1947 and it's an All-American 5 radio. I've actually have 3 of these. I've already completed one. So I'm just going to show you pretty much what I do from beginning to end. Before I start, I usually like to see what I'm in for. And even though this cord on this radio is kind of corroded up, I just kind of want to see if this is going to be a simpler restore or much bigger. I simply put it to my multimeter, attach it to the different prongs on the electrical outlet. I turn on the radio, and we do see we have full connectivity. This doesn't mean it's going to work, but it probably means with checking the tubes and a simple recap, it should be fine. Next, I'll be just taking out the chassis from the cabinet. Unlike a lot of cabinets, if you've worked on All-American 5 radios, this one kind of lifts up. So the chassis is separated from the bottom and just lift the cabinet up on top. I actually prefer these. They tend to keep the components inside much cleaner than some of the other ones that have a lot more space. So I will just start to take this out. Put them in my little bin here so I don't lose them. These look like copper or brass screws most likely. Can always polish those up later if we're so inclined. Okay, I'm going to loosen this up just to get this out of the way. I will take the knobs off. And now should be able to lift it right up and out. There is an antenna in the back that slides out. So before we actually look at the chassis, let's take a look at the cabinet. It's in pretty good shape. I'm probably going to paint this in a different color. These are not rare radios. As I said, I had 3 of them and they're not expensive, so I'm not destroying some museum piece here. Okay, looks good. Put this aside and we'll look at the chassis. This is pretty cool. These are the way you can have self-tuning push buttons. As you push these down, let's see if it works. You can see on the right, the tuning condenser is moving, so that actually works. All the tubes are there. The top of the chassis can be cleaned a little better, but we'll look into that. Now let's see if we can take the bottom off. chassis. By the way, what I'm going to do is cut the plug off. I actually like, this is a pretty cool old-fashioned plug, and I generally save the plugs and throw out the rest of the wire because they're all corroded. This says Belden UL, Underwriters Lab, and I'll put it in my collection. I probably have about 30 to 40 of these because I've already done quite a few radios. The goal someday is to maybe do something with them. Now we'll just remove the rest of the bottom from the chassis, and as I mentioned before, this is why usually the inside is very clean, because it does have this metal plate and very little dust will get in there, and dirt and bugs, of course. Oh, forgot one more. Okay, so this is the model number, chassis number. As I mentioned, an All-American 5, so we have 50L6 GT, we have the 35Z GT, and we have the 12 SK7, SA7, and SQ7. All glass tubes. Although looking at the tubes we're having, obviously those are new ones. Alright, what do we have here? I would say mostly original. I see a lot of Sprague capacitors. We do have one solar, which looks newer here. And we also have an Airvox that looks newer here, and it's also leaking. Well, this one's leaking as well. You can see the wax sitting right there. The electrolytic looks like it's original as well. We're just going to take a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's nothing on the antenna. And I'm just going to compare it to my documentation. I have the PhotoFax from Howard Sands. And just take a quick look at the capacitors. So it's a 40-20 electrolytic combination. And as far as the paper capacitors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think I see 8. Let me just count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, I can't count. Okay. When we come back, we'll start to do a recap of the capacitors. Okay, I'm back. I've actually decided before I do the capacitor check, I want to be able to make sure that everything else looks good on the chassis. I noticed that the speaker is a little, I don't want to say it's shot, it just looks like it's been tampered with and may need some updates, corrections, whatever. But I want to get this antenna out of the way because it's difficult. Always turn the radio upside down. Looking at this, it looks like this red one's not original. So I'm actually just going to, I'll replace these wires later. So I'm just going to cut them in the middle, get them out of the way. But I'll leave a little bit on each end, so I'll make sure they're going to the proper connection. Now with the speaker, you can see, let me get a little closer. that side right there is not doing too well. So I will put a little rubber cement on that, but I want to see what's underneath it just in case there's other issues. Oh, interesting. These are not regular screws. Let's see if I can get this up here. Get in focus. Come on. Okay, having a little trouble focusing. But they're those special screws that are kind of look like a hexagon. And I don't think I have anything for that. I can try a couple of different ones. Nope, too small. Let's see what I can try to get that off. Alright, just a thin screwdriver should be able to do it. Let's see if these fit too large. That did the trick. And of course, I'm not showing you what I'm doing here. There's a name for this type of screw. I just don't recall what it is. But let's see if we can get a close up on this. There it is. So you can see the head, it's kind of like a rectangle in there. Okay. I'm not going to remove this because the dial cord looks good. I can clean that up. It's not too bad. Actually, looks like I am going to remove this. The spring looks good. The dial cord looks good, so we'll just put this to the side. And let me get my rubber cement. And I know some people call this contact cement, some call it rubber cement. Be generous with it. That seems to be the only place that has the issue. And now, when we come back, I will start the recap.